Hello, everyone. I'm going to be doing something a little bit different for today and this upcoming week. What I'm going to do is I'm going to share just a really short challenge each day. Starting today, we'll skip tomorrow since we have church, and then Monday through the following week, every day at 5 p.m. I'll post a really short video, and I want to talk about the topic of who am I? In other words, a lot of times, especially as teens and even as adults, we ask ourselves the big questions. Why do I exist? Who am I? What is life all about? And I just want to look at a couple short passages, and for the next week or so, one just for a short video every day, talk about different aspects of who we are. So the first thing that I want to talk about today is the fact that we are creatures. So when you ask yourself, who am I? The first thing you should know about yourself is that I am a creature. What does that mean? Well, look at Acts chapter 17. It says, God, here Paul is talking to some philosophers, people who really like to think about who they were and what life was all about. And this is what he said to them. God that made the world and all things therein, seeing that he is Lord of heaven and earth, dwelleth not in temples made with hands, neither is worshipped with men's hands as though he needed anything, seeing he giveth to all life and breath and all things, and hath made of one blood all nations of men for to dwell on all the face of the earth, and hath determined the times before appointed and the bounds of their habitation, that they should seek the Lord, if haply they might feel after him and find him, though he be not far from every one of us. For in him we live and move and have our being, as certain also of your own poets have said, for we are also his offspring. So what does this passage teach about us being creatures? We could say, so what? Well, really, we can see this passage teaches us a lot of things, but three things in particular concerning the fact that we can identify as creatures. So first, it says again, going back to read Acts 17, I'm going to read the first few verses and focused on them, and this is what it says. It says, the God who made the world and everything in it, being Lord of heaven and earth, does not live in temples made by man, nor is he served by human hands as though he needed anything, since he himself gives to all mankind life and breath and everything. The first thing we see here is because we are creatures, we have to realize God made, and not only did he make everything, but he's the one that continues to hold everything together. In Colossians, it says, in Christ all things consist. So we have to realize that as creatures, we exist because of God. In other words, we wouldn't exist if God didn't create us. And if God decided, you know what, I'm just going to give up on mankind and walk away, we wouldn't just be in trouble, we would cease to exist. Because not only did he create us, but he holds us together. What this means is we need him, but he doesn't need us. Imagine if you have a painting. A painting, I have there in the picture some paintbrushes. A painting would not exist without an artist. If the artist isn't there, there is no painting. And if the artist doesn't continue to paint that painting will never be finished. In the same way, without God, we wouldn't exist. Not only did he create us, but he is the one that by his power is holding us together. So we need God. Now, the painter can walk away from the painting and the painter will still be fine. The painter doesn't need the painting, but a painting has to have a painter. We as creatures have to have God. We depend completely on God for our existence. If it wasn't for God, we wouldn't exist. But you know what? God doesn't need us. God is the creator. He doesn't need our worship. He doesn't need us. He chooses to use us, but he doesn't need us. A lot of times we get that all mixed up. And we think, oh, God needs me. God exists because of me. No. We are the creature. He is the creator. So we have to realize we are creatures, and what that means is that we depend 100% upon God. You might not know that, you might not think about it, But your life, your talents, you owe everything to God, and you are completely 100% dependent on Him. But He doesn't need you. The second thing that this teaches us, that we are creatures, is that it says, if we continue to read, it says, and He made from one man every nation of mankind to live on all the face of the earth, having determined allotted periods and the boundaries of their dwelling places. In other words, God created us, and since He created us, He's the one that gets to choose what happens. The painter is the one that chooses what colors he's going to use, what he's going to paint, how he's going to paint them. The painting doesn't get to choose. The painter chooses. In the same way, we don't get to choose where we're born. We don't get to choose the talents we have. We don't get to choose what we look like. We don't get to choose the family we have or the situation we are placed in. We don't even get to choose what happens in our life. God chooses all that. God is in control. He is the creator. We are the creatures. God is in charge, not us. Sometimes we think we're in charge, but we're not. And then the last thing we have to realize is verses 26 and 27. It says, 27 and 28, that they should seek God and perhaps feel their way toward Him and find Him. Yet He is actually not far from each one of us. For in Him we live and move and have our being, as even some of your own poets have said, for we are indeed His offspring. If you go and you look at a painting, if you want to understand why that painting was painted, what that painting is trying to communicate, what the purpose of that painting is, the very best way to do that is to get to know the painter. And the better you get to know the painter, you'll better understand why he painted it, what his purpose was in painting, why he chose these colors, why he chose to paint this picture. Getting to know the painter helps us understand the purpose of the painting. If we are creatures created by God and we want to know, why do I exist? It says here, we need to seek out God. We need to get to know Him. We need to find out who God is, to find out why He created us the way He created us, why He put us in the situations He put us in, and what our purpose is, why we were created, what the goal of our life is, what we're all about. If we are creatures, we realize we are completely dependent on God. He doesn't need us. We need Him. If we are creatures, we realize God is in control of our lives. God is in control of who we are and what we were created for, not us. And finally, if we are creatures, God is the reason for our existence. So if we want to know why we were created, if we want to know why God made us the way He made us, we need to get to know God. So the first thing we need to understand about ourselves when we ask ourselves, who am I? Is that first, we are a creature. We are created, and we are created by a creator. On Monday, we'll continue another video talking about another aspect of who we are.